What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about SoFi. I want to go over some of the current data points, break it down on what just came out from SoFi and what really affected it today. So I want to go over all the things that you need to know, but first make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So SoFi went down 6.6% today, 1203 the low, 1270 the high. So not necessarily the best day for the broader market, even more so for SoFi. A couple of things, starting off with the broader market, we did have two data points, GDP and also initial jobless claims this morning. Both came in better than anticipated. This essentially is good, but at the same time, it's not what the market wants. The market is yearning for rate cuts, as is Trump. Many times over the last 2 weeks, he's stated that he wants lower rates, and that's just to refinance a lot of the American debt. So even though this data for face value is good, it's not what the market wants. And plus, you have a lot of analysts starting to really come out, even more so, raising targets on gold and just kind of very dooming gloomish associated to tariffs. So we do have the autos that is going to be starting on, I believe it is April the 3rd. You have that other round, the kind of targeted approach on April the 2nd. So a lot of kind of grayness. A lot of people don't necessarily know what that will mean. Even tomorrow, you have PCE. Market pulled back a little bit during power hour, and that's because of fears associated to that data tomorrow. Even regardless of this data, if it comes in better than anticipated or even hotter, this is from February. So it's not really encumbering any of the tariffs. So that fear about tariffs is still going to linger probably for another 2 reports. So it's not the best kind of scenario that the market is in. But specific to SoFi though, the reason why it went down so much more than the broader market is, as blunt as it sounds, lack of innovation. I've brought up time and time again that they are very safe. And in times of contraction, obviously playing it safe is good. Obviously it protects your equity and so forth, but we always see Robinhood just innovating time and time again. And they had their event yesterday, and I think a lot of people were very pleasantly surprised. And Robinhood is expanding and starting to overlap with SoFi. So essentially that is it. People just not really satisfied with SoFi. But there was one thing that did come out after hours today. There was a 8K. A lot of people are starting to digest this, and in this it's kind of associated to performance awards. And so ultimately it looks like it is being changed where they could potentially earn between 0 and 150% dependent on the target. But one thing that I think really stands out here is that here there's also going to be a modifier based on the company's stockholder return and compared to the NASDAQ Composite Index. So I think that in reality is good. So depending on how well SoFi stock does perform in comparison to the NASDAQ, then they get more money. So I think this might really incentivize innovation, similar to what has happened with SoFi or to Robinhood. So again, I think I do need to dive into this a little bit more deeper, but for face value, I think that is a new addition right there, that modifier. So that should be good, at least for the foreseeable future. So let me know your viewpoint on that in the comments below. And there is 2 separate ones as well. There's one for the CEO and CFO, and then the other one is for certain senior employees. So again, I see that as rather optimistic. But aside from that, shorts did increase 277,000 shares. 12.97% of the free float is being shorted. Works out to be 139.73 million shares overall are being shorted. And as you can kind of see, shorts played around quite a lot at the peak. They were increasing 1.1. They returned. They were just playing around today ultimately. So let me know your general thoughts on that. Moving over to the options, 11 million in calls, 6.22 in puts. 43% of all the options being done today were optimistic in nature. And ultimately, you see a lot of good volume. So 17 million in total premiums today, 14 yesterday, 10 the day prior. So pretty good stuff in that regard. One thing to bring up though, I forgot to mention, going back over to the short interest, is cost to borrow minimum is once again positive. So now this is, I believe, the 4th consecutive day, or possibly might be the 5th, of it being positive. So that definitely is something to take note of. But going over here though, so you do have a consensus based on the call options for it to be above 1350. So clearly the market is, or at least the bulls are seeing today as unjustified, this pullback. Bears are anticipating for it to be sub 11, and a lot of that is going to be based off of PCE data. With today being Thursday, tomorrow Friday, just take note of this. So you do have 17,000 in open interest at that 1350. You have 7,000 at that 13, and then 5,000 at that 1250. So dependent on where it gets close to tomorrow, if it's close to that 1350 for whatever reason, you might see a little bit more activity coming from shorts just to try to suppress it. But these are all the transactions that did occur on the secondary market above $100,000. So you did see a lot of good buying, but still I think algorithmic trading was really working against SoFi. So that, as I've mentioned, is a lot more powerful than all of these buys combined. So if you have algorithmic trading really working against you, it's really hard to kind of move higher. But these are all the transactions that did occur on the dark pool. So dark pool, clearly they're hiding a lot through shorts and whatever else. So shorts love to use the dark pool as well as other large entities, but these are all the transactions from today. So I think only one big one, and that was right up here. So 2.86 million. Aside from that, with it closing at $12.20, it is trading between this pivot and this S1. So 1209 is going to be that strong support. And then flip side, 1253 followed by 1297 is going to be the next strong target / resistance points. But aside from all of that though, looking on the actual chart, you have SoFi being rather overbought based on the stochastic RSI. It did break below that ALMA, and so right now it's kind of just stuck in limbo between that ALMA and that 200-day moving average, and that right now is sitting at $11.15. So SoFi has just been somewhat in no man's land for the most part. I think today was a very big hit to the sentiment. I see a lot of individuals online saying that they are done with SoFi, and a lot of them, from my interpretation, have been very long-term bulls well before even I started to cover SoFi, roughly like 2 years ago or something. So I think just the sentiment on SoFi is very bad, and a lot of them in fact are actually just moving over to Robinhood, and they see that innovation and they love that. So I think SoFi definitely does need to innovate and kind of step up their game a little bit, but based on these incentives right here, based on what was just submitted, I think now management have a financial interest in really getting SoFi higher stock performance wise. So let me know your general thoughts on everything today. Did you take advantage and buy? Did you sell? What did you do with SoFi? The only thing I did today, I sold some puts, and that's $12 puts. So depending on PCE tomorrow, I might be getting some more at the $12 mark. But aside from that, if it's good or if it stays above 12, then I'll get to keep their premium. But I feel like at this price, it's might as well. So let me know your general thoughts on that. And then one final thing, pop over to my Patreon. I give buy signals on stocks, options, and crypto. Many of them have been absolutely on point and bangers. Definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that, appreciate all of you watching.